Hi, everyone. My name is MacKenzie. I am the creator, co-creator of Valor, lead designer, owner of Valorous Games. This is my system. I love it. I'm happy to share and show it off at any and every opportunity I can get. So we're going to be running Best in Class. Best in Class is the module that we've been developing. The intent of this module is a level 1 to 5 adventure. The module itself will not require purchase of the core book. So if you just buy the module, you can fully play it. It'll have characters and everything. Be ready to go. In terms of release date, I hope to have an announcement on that soon. Unfortunately, our designer is having some COVID-related issues right now. So once they're in a good spot and know kind of when they think they're going to have it together, we'll have it out. But expect hopefully within the next few weeks we should actually have the finished PDF for release, and then the paperback physical release soon after that. So very excited to be bringing you this adventure. We've got some excellent folks who had kind of started introducing themselves before we realized that there were no sound going on. So Zack,
all right,
once more with feeling.
All right. Again, hopefully, if you guys have been watching the stream, you're at least a little bit familiar with me. But to introduce myself, hi, my name is Zack. Maher. I'm a voice actor based here in Las Vegas, Nevada. My most prominent role, if you follow my voice acting career, is probably you've heard me in Epithet Race as Dr. Sylvester Ashling, my favorite little baby boy. I'm also in various other indie animations and video games that you can find all across the internet, mostly visual novels, mostly web series, parodies, web series that you can find on YouTube and other streaming platforms and devices. I've been doing the TTRPG deal for over the past 6 years and enjoying getting my toe dipped into every system, but the Valor system has definitely become one of my favorites, to the point of working with Austin to help put together the first Valor live show, Wind Riders, which most recently settled on that name. It was definitely a lot of fun. I act as a GM for that, along with a bunch of other voice actors. I would highly recommend checking that show out if you ever got the time. We put a lot of love and our sweat and tears into it. For the character I'm going to be playing, you probably saw the funny looking clown on the splash screen. I will be playing them. Their name is Lyric Lazulite. They are a street performer of sorts who, for details I will probably get into once we start playing the game, found themselves into one of this best kind of universities, a very bougie, like top kind of school, even though there was a street performer. Came from a family where father kind of struck rich accidentally. There was a few complications from that. Lyric's not doing the best right now, which you'll probably see with a very evident flaw I'm hoping to pick. But otherwise, putting all of their effort into going into the school so that they can go ahead and become a professional clown, as well as a very well-respected cavalier. Not sure how that's going to work out for them, but we're definitely going to see. And not to keep this going on for long, I think that's all I want to say.
All right, great. And I think that was the first time we actually title dropped Wind Riders properly. So apologies to the other cast for not letting them introduce that themselves. But we'll be talking Wind Riders season 2 at a bit later date. Jenna, you are up.
Hi, I am Jenna Mckenzie. I am one of the co-founders of Valorous Games, and I've been with the system for quite some time. Started out as a playtester during the first demo that we ran at a convention, and since then I've done a lot of the events. I do a bit of the design work in terms of graphic design for Valor. I'm also an aspiring voice actor as well as musician. I am a huge musical theater nerd, so if we don't get a musical episode, I will riot.
Okay.
You may have also
we have a side quest, so it'll happen.
But you may have also seen me on Valor Live, Wind Riders, guesting as Gabrielle, as well as Orvin the Super Seymour. For this campaign, however, I'm going to be playing Polly Pruitt, who is the giant ogre powerhouse. So she is a scholarship student who originally comes from a very, very large family and is actually the first person in her family to be able to attend university, not to say, you know, a good university like this one. She is a double major in mechanical engineering and knighthood because knighthood is her passion, but she also understands that she needs to have a career that is not as dangerous. I'm really excited to go into what sort of character she is and the build, but I want to leave that as a little bit of a surprise. So I'm going to kick it off to the next person.
All right, Asher, you are up.
Well, hello. My name is Asher. I have been around with Valor off and on. I saw you guys back in the demo days. I got to play an amazing skateboarder yo-yo man that I love with all my heart. And from there, I provided art for the core manual back in the day. And these days I'm an artist. I make comics. I'm back at school. I'm dabbling in voice acting again. I'm dabbling in music. It's a little bit of everywhere. And for this season, I am playing Valiant Barkley, a very rich, very snobbish young man who has high aspirations. Really, it's his parents that have high aspirations, and he's just trying to live up to their expectations. They gave him a very strong name. They give him a very strong beginning, and he comes out with little brittle bones, and he's a little bit weak, and he's just trying his best out here. And he has a lot of trust issues. I love a good snob, so we're gonna see how he develops when he is presented with, say, some unique friends to build upon. I can't wait to actually dabble more into his growth as an individual, but it has to start somewhere. So for Valiant, it's the ground up.
All right, excellent. And then last but not least, Jason, you are up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason. I've been playing Valor since just before release, I believe, and always have a blast. I run a podcast called Come Back a Star, a movie award podcast where we view and rate every Best Picture winner and nominee from 1927 onwards, and we are up to 1932. So it's been a trek. But no, this is going to be my very first live stream. I'm a little bit nervous to be around this much talent going around, but that's good. I'll be playing Xalin Yanez, and he is a veteran who is attending this prestigious school on the GI Bill, and really he's there hoping to get a good degree in something like stats. But the knighthood component is kind of a part and parcel of this school, and so he has kind of gotten pulled in to also kind of help train in more the physical aspects of combat. Since he has combat experience, he is not a super jazzed about having to go back to that part of his life, and he is a little bit more calm, and he has seen the results of violence, so he is not one to rush in unless it is time to rush in. And so we'll see that play out, hopefully. And I think that's all for me.
All right, great. So let's jump right into character creation. We're gonna start with Asher's character of Valiant here. Before that, though, I do also want to give a shout out to Rue, who is once again behind the scenes. She produced us for Valor Live Win Riders. She's back for Valor Live Best in Class, and she's the one who's running the Valor Twitch account right now. She does some great stuff. I'm very excited since I heard, but we haven't added yet, that she's going to be on the Modifiers podcast very soon, so you'll be able to catch her in more of a player role there. I offered her one here, but she didn't want to do that and produce, so that's fair, I would say. Anyway, so Asher, let's start with your character, and Rue, if you want to get Valiant's character sheet up, we can talk that. We'll start with stats for Valiant. We'll go into skills and flaws, and then we'll build techniques, which is the most exciting but also the most complex part of the Valor system.
Yes.
So now, if memory serves, Valiant is kind of a sword and shield fighter using the umbrella and the cane sword. Is that correct? Okay. And I think you were looking at, what was it, a strength agility build?
We were going for a balanced fighter, so agility, guts, mind sort of situation.
Right, that was it. Okay. Right, yes, brittle bones. Okay, so
Yes.
First off, if you want to pull up your character sheet, go into the character sheet tab under attributes. We will bring your strength down to 1. Your agility, which one was what was your primary? Was it agility as your strongest?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, agility will go up to 8. Spirit will go down to 4, and mind and guts will go to 6.
Boy, oh boy. Okay.
I'm just gonna say I highly suggest we hit like the show to players like icons, just so we could bring it up on Charu's end, so the stream can also follow
absolutely.
along on what we're doing.
Yeah, I gave Charu access, but if that is not working, I will go ahead and do show to players for all of these character sheets, and hopefully Roll20 will cooperate.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see if we can get that up. Let me see. Char, let me know if you are having issues getting that screen up, because yes, we do want to show these character sheets.
Just so like anybody who might be unfamiliar can follow along.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to know where those character sheets are.
Yeah, so the in the Roll20 tab, oh, Asher, I don't think you got into the Roll20. Give me 1 second here. I will relink that just to make sure that we've actually got you in here while Charu works to get that sheet up.
Oh, much appreciated. There I am. At least I hope I am.
It'll take a second for you to load in. That should take you to the outside of the game. You just hit launch game to get in.
And it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. I apologize for the issues here. I attempted to give Charu access to everything, but it seems like Roll20 had other ideas in mind about that. So
Austin, when you pull up the sheet for Asher, is there a show to players button at the top right?
Yeah, I did click that. I'm also just manually giving Charu access to every single character sheet to see if that works. I've had these Roll20 issues come up before, and usually what happens is I attempt every single showing method, and then one of them will work.
There it is. I see it on Charu's end.
Beautiful. Okay, so that is working.
Perfect.
All right, so Asher, if you will let me know when you have that character sheet ready to go, and we will get those stats aligned for you.
I have it pulled up and ready to go.
Okay, so because you're a balanced fighter, that means that you will specialize in 3 stats at the detriment of the other 2. So as we were talking, probably the way to do this based on what we've kind of discussed is you want to drop your strength down to 1, bring your agility up to 8, bring your spirit down to 4, and bring your mind and guts to 6.
Oh man, I love that strength. That's good.
He's a fragile little boy, yeah. But he's very gutsy though, and that will give him some of that extra needed bulk to sustain himself. He may not be strong of bone, but he is strong of resolve and or stubbornness.
He's got the spirit, as they say.
All right, so with that, let's move on to skills here. I believe you are generally intending to be more of a frontline fighter. Is that correct?
Yes, a little bit roguish, but definitely up front.
And did you have any flaws in mind for this character? Any particular issues or weaknesses?
Actually, yes. I did some reading. I figured, because he's a bit of a tough shell, but like soft like an egg yolk on the inside, that I was looking at either despair or feeble as flaws.
If you are going to be a melee fighter, feeble actually, it could be interesting. And you are welcome to take both if you wish. Despair is kind of the, if things start going badly, then he starts spiraling downward. So if you think that's appropriate for him, where he'll get really shaken if his allies start going down in combat, that's definitely a flaw worth taking. I think feeble is very thematic with him, since as you mentioned, he has kind of that weak bone structure and his strength is so low. It will make you vulnerable to a lot of melee attacks. And since you are going to be in melee a lot, that will certainly hurt you, but it is thematic and interesting. And Valor, we always recommend that you kind of go for more of the thematic and interesting options, as opposed to trying to optimize the hell out of absolutely everything that you do.
Yeah, everything that I kind of looked at for him, I'm basing entirely off of his personality and like how I feel like he would react to certain situations. So yeah, considering he's a bit of a glass cannon, I figure feeble kind of fits with his family's very high expectations. You will be a great knight and full of strong power, man. And he's like, I have bought this umbrella, and so I think we're gonna roll with feeble. Do you think that despair would be too much?
You won't. You can take it. You won't get the full effects of it until level 2, because you'll be slightly over the level 1 flaw limit. We do limit the amount of SP you can gain from flaws, which does escalate over time, but we want to keep people from trying to min-max the system too much. So yeah, if it's thematic for the character, if you think it fits how he operates, absolutely go.
Okay.
If he does overcome it later, you can always buy it off. So
cool. I like that. I like that idea. Let's do that.
Oh, right. Yeah, despair is actually not as expensive as I thought. So it looks like you have 7 extra SP to spend. I know, since you are playing a roguish character and you are a agility mind, there are a lot of skills that you can make use of. So the first 2 skills I'm going to recommend for you are the feint skill and the improved damage increment skill.
Right.
What the skills do is they allow you to feint an enemy, making them vulnerable to take extra damage. And then what the improved damage increment skill does is you get a bonus on that extra damage if you've properly feinted them. And yeah, I see Trinary commenting that I almost left. I had a bit of an unstable connection there for a moment. I apologize about that. I'm very close to our router, but that doesn't mean that our router actually likes me or likes me doing anything in any capacity.
Oh, Wi-Fi, how does it work? Okay, so I have feint pulled up. What was the second one you were thinking?
Improved damage increment.
Ooh, all right.
And with that in mind, I have a very big character defining question for you.
Bring it on.
Is he an honorable fighter or is he a dishonorable fighter?
You know, it's funny that you ask that, because he would strive for excellence, but because he's very aware of the fact that he's not built the way he should be for the role he's attempting to take, he's not above doing some shady stuff in order to win.
Okay, so I have 2 additional skill suggestions for you, and they are underhanded and dirty trick.
There's dirty trick.
Love dirty trick.
I can't say no to dirty trick.
Now, are you adding those skills in? What you should be doing is you press the add button and then you.
Yeah, I
navigate.
hadn't fully like decided yet, so I'm like.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just not seeing them show up, so I want to make sure that you're seeing them and that the Roll20 sheet is cooperating. Because if there's one thing I can trust, is that it's the knowledge that I cannot actually trust technology.
Oh, I believe that. Where are you? There you are.
Yeah, so while you are populating that, I can kind of talk dirty trick. So dirty trick allows you to, when you are in melee range, you spend 2 valor, and this can take you to negative valor, to make an enemy surprised. If they are surprised, you get +2 to hit them, and you get an additional damage increment of damage against them. This does stack with feint, so you can get 2 full damage increments if you get a full feint dirty trick combo. What the underhanded skill does is it means that you don't suffer any penalties for having negative valor unless your valor hits a full -10, in which case you are still incapacitated. Since valor kind of represents your resolve and your fighting spirit, there is a certain point where you just kind of collapse into Shinji levels of self-loathing and just cannot fight any longer.
Ooh, that's tempting.
So yeah, that so the full combo for here is you want dirty trick, you want improved damage increment, you want feint, you want underhanded. Underhanded is very important if you're going to be using dirty trick, and you probably also want the skill called bounce back if you can afford it. Bounce back means that when you are at negative valor, you gain 2 valor at the end of a combat round instead of 1. So you can kind of make up for the fact that you're using dirty trick by kind of regaining your valor a bit. It looks like you've got 2 skill points left. So we could potentially, if you want, look at a proficiency skill where your character is particularly good at some kind of more challenge action. So something that is often used less in combat, but more in sort of incidental things.
Sure.
Yeah, yes, -10 is the Shinji threshold. Like that is actually one of the main mechanical inspirations for the -10 valor.
Let's see. Proficiency.
And yes, the underhanded will make the despair flaw less impactful unless things go very badly and the character is already sitting at negative valor, in which case it could just take him out entirely. So it is a risk, and one I fully intend to exploit at some point in the near future. But yeah, if there is a proficiency you're looking at, it could be something like proficiency athletic or mystic arts if you're good with magic. I'm not sure that your character is, but that's an option. It could be something like leadership if they're really good at directing. It could be something like stealth, since they are a roguish character where they are proficient in hiding.
I think stealth is the best option for him.
All right. So go ahead and look up proficiency and then just type in stealth into the notes and we can move on to techniques.
Okay. Hey, you. How the heck are we gonna go? Look up How do I look things up on here? I don't remember.
If you hit the drop down, just start typing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Valor Roll20 sheet was coded by Valor co-creator Quentin Gordon, and they are currently in the process of making a standalone product where we can just have a full character builder for you that will even, randomize character builds as a GM tool. Very excited about that. It's certainly taking some time since it is its own standalone program, which has its own intricacies, we'll say. But that was a stretch goal we achieved for best in class. So that is something that we are releasing as kind of a bonus along with best in class, and very excited about that too as that finishes up. But this is kind of the base. This was our proof of concept.
There we go.
All right. So techniques. Now, if memory serves, you mentioned you were interested in doing some of the shadow melding. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, because your character is a season 1 character, normally the shadow meld skill is not available to you, but there is a way to get it. And that is by creating a boost, which will allow you to give yourself skills up to season 2. So for your first technique, I'm going to have you create a boost technique.
All right. Woo. Boost.
For attribute, you're going to want to set that to mind. And for the core power, you're going to want to move that up to 3. And in the little skills box, you're going to want to type in the skill Shadow Meld.
All right.
So what Shadow Meld does is it allows you to hide, which will use your stealth proficiency. So it will allow you to hide yourself even in plain sight by melding into these shadows. While that's active, you cannot attack, but you can dismiss it as a move action. I believe it's a support or a move action to activate, or it may just be a move action now that I think about it. So what you can do, for example, is you can attack someone, drop into the shadows, potentially even use your support action to kind of reposition yourself. And then on your next turn, you can pop out of the shadows and attack someone with advantage, with them being surprised since you strike them unseen, which is an alternative option to using your dirty trick if you need to try and conserve valor or other things like that.
Nice.
In terms of limits, I will recommend the self limit. Just type the word self on the first line of the limits. And that will mean that you can only use it on yourself, which seems appropriate since this is just kind of you prepping to be able to jump into shadows.
All right.
There are some other potential limits you can look into. If you want, you could give it a setup limit of 1 or 2 if you don't want to use it exactly on the first turn. It is a bit expensive since it's a boost right now, but when you do activate it, it will last for 3 turns. So it may be that you can just weather that expense fine, just depending on how you're feeling. So something to consider. Beyond that, though, I'd say we can move on and start working on your other techniques. I see Trinary recommending reload. I'm trying to remember if reload is actually applicable to boosts. Because I don't... Oh, I guess reload is applicable to boost. So yeah, that is a potential. Since you shouldn't have to reload it too often, you do use your support action a lot for your fainting.
Mhm.
So, but if you did put reload on it, it would make it free. Just that you have to use an extra support action to reload it before you can recast it on yourself.
I mean, it kind of
So
sounds like a
there's
nice
that trade-off.
trade-off.
Yeah. For protracted fights, though, you will lose that support action, which will kind of suck if you want to keep it up. So something to consider.
All right.
Beyond that, though, I'd say let's get a damage technique for you, since you are a rogue type build. it certainly would suit you to have at least some way to actually hurt somebody.
That does sound pretty good. I do admit.
So
right.
what kind of damage techniques do you have in mind?
Let's see. Did I write anything down for? No, I didn't write one down for that. Well, in terms of how he operates, I would assume a lot of it would just have to do with being like, the quick, just stab him fast sort of situation. So, let's see. Check it. Oh my goodness, there are so many things in here.
Now, for that stab, do you have in mind where it would be kind of a lunge where he would step forward, or would it be
he has kind of a fencing sort of situation going with that, just with a shield. So
shield that is also an umbrella.
yes. He creative? Maybe. Let's see here.
Yeah, because if you want, we can make you a pretty basic lunge attack, which would be a damage core with agility being the core stat, and then having a line, so it actually hits in a line of 2 in front of him to kind of represent that lunging forward motion that he does, if that sounds kind of what you're going for here.
Yeah, I don't know if using the shield to block, it wouldn't block a lot of damage. It's mostly for like really, what's the word I'm looking for?
And the thing with the shield is you can kind of represent that with his more defensive maneuvering and the fact that his guts is high, so he has a decent amount of health.
Okay.
But this is just your attack, right? So we're trying to visualize this attack. So my recommendation here is going to be make a new technique, make it a damage core, make it agility for the attribute, keep the core power at 1, and put a modifier of line 1.
Okay. Got it.
Now, pretty simple limit you can put on this is cooldown 1. So that will just mean that you can only use it every other turn. And that gives you a nice kind of basic, reliable technique with a bit of range on it that you can use fairly often.
Awesome.
And there is a recommendation in chat, and this was actually in line with something I was going to recommend myself. What are your thoughts on shield bashes?
Remember how I said he's not above doing some shady stuff? That kind of sounds like something he'd do.
All right, so my recommendation here for a basically slamming someone with a face full of umbrella is make a damage core. This will be agility again. Keep the core power at 1 and add on the modifiers the knockdown ability.
Got it.
Where you just hit someone in the face with an umbrella and they fall down.
Perfect.
For this is going to be a bit pricier. You might consider a cooldown limit for this as well. I am recommending avoiding Valor limits, because you are an underhanded fighter, you will likely never have positive Valor. So
yeah.
You can do cooldown 1 here, especially since my next recommendation is also probably going to be a damage technique. So cooldown 1, very low impact. It'll keep your costs a bit lower. It just means that you have to use a different damage technique every turn.
Cool.
And now for the final one. So this technique, this will not necessarily synergize well with your shadow melding. It'll be hard to use if you're also doing hiding in shadows. But if you are taking a more aggressive approach, it will serve you better. So this technique will let you kind of move and weave through the battlefield and damage everyone that you move through. Likely, you recall kind of this effect from when you were playing the skateboarder way back in the demo. So my recommendation here is make a damage core agility once more and give it the rush attack modifier.
Cool, let's do it. All right. Got that.
And that, I believe, should cover all of your tech points.
Awesome.
Which means Valiant is good to go. Feel free to kind of, as you're going, name your techniques. I see you're kind of starting that. Put in some descriptions. Remember, yelling attack names does get you more valor. So if he is the type, it might be worth coming up with some ostentatious names to yell during combat. But since we are finished here, let's throw it over to Jason, and we will start with Xalin, Yanez.
All right. So let's see. How am I starting off? I'm pulling up the character sheet in Roll20.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll show the attributes. It looks like you've already kind of put your build in, which is fine. I definitely appreciate the foresight on that since you know what you're gonna do. So just go ahead and put it in there, and we can move on.
Right,
but
well,
it looks. Oh, go ahead.
Keep in mind, I've only gotten this far, so
That's fine.
Yeah, so this is a strength guts build and a minor in mind. My thought was kind of that he has a tactical mind, but he also is really big on getting in people's way to protect his allies, and he feels kind of protective about the people around him. So very tactical until it comes to himself.
Mm-hmm. And at that stat distribution, you're probably not going to be taking any of the mind-based skills, which is fine, right, since Valiant should have that covered anyway. I definitely recommend for your next 2 levels putting points into agility so you can get your movement up. But you'll have kind of that floating point to split between your agility and your mind, depending on what you need at any given time. So yes, this works. And since you are the tank, your skills are going to be fairly easy.
Oh yeah. So let me see. I'm going to switch over to
the skills and flaws, and we'll want to start with flaws. Does he have any flaws of note that we should be aware of?
Well, the one that I settled on was a Berserker, which would force him to move forward and attack targets when he's at critical health. And my thought behind that is, if things are going that badly, his automatic reaction is going to be, okay, this needs to end now. So yeah, that's when he'll get into, he's already an aggressive fighter, and he's going to get even more so.
I appreciate Zack exulting here, since having Berserker on the tank is something that we did in Wind Riders as well. Oh, good. It's generally worked out. It's a great idea. I love it. Put it on there. Why wouldn't you have the character who takes the most hits be the one most likely to go berserk? It's just common sense.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I also figured they'd have enough health to handle it, right? We'll find out.
That is definitely an assumption that you could make, and we'll definitely find out if that is true.
Okay. And aside from that, I was considering a non-proficiency skill.
All right.
Perhaps in, what was it? I had it picked out and everything like that. Legerdemain. It seems like he wouldn't have much of a reason to know that sort of thing.
So if he ever needs to disarm a trap, you guys are in trouble.
Yeah, if he needs to disarm a trap, he's just going to pull the trap and take the damage.
All right, yeah, go ahead and put that in. Just type in the notes which challenge action it applies to. I'll have to keep that in mind to actually make you run into traps. There should be opportunity for me to do that, so I'll make sure that you can experience the weight of your actions.
Oh, for sure. If it doesn't come up, then it's not worth it. Let's see. So in terms of skills, what did I have? I had thoughts about Tough.
Tough is a very good tank skill. I highly recommend it, as well as leveling it up whenever possible. I'll mention to Michelle's comment, since we do generally recommend barring flaws that don't impact a character's build, I am allowing it in this instance, because a lot of times the way I run dungeons and traps is everyone will have to interact with them as you move through, and you may not have the choice to avoid it. So it is something that I can penalize anybody for, so I'm comfortable allowing it. If in your game you are doing a slower and more methodical trap experience where characters kind of have the opportunity to crawl through and disarm everything, I would certainly encourage you as a GM to disallow that if it just doesn't really work. When I run dungeons that are trapped, I tend to run it more like the opening sequence to Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you've basically already tripped everything, so now you need to figure out how to not get killed by all of it.
Just stop it with your face.
Yeah.
Is Xalin's.
Spoken like a true tank, I see.
Oh yeah, and just wait until that triggers Berserk. He just gets so angry that this that this trap got triggered.
That he'll run forward and trigger even more traps.
Very possibly. Okay, so I've got tough.
So how do you there are a number of ways, and some tanks will actually do kind of ultimately spec into all three of these, but there are a number of ways you can kind of operate as a tank. There is the cover tank, who will stand next to the group and will take hits for them. There's the provoke tank, which is a bit less reliable, but their goal is to provoke enemies into attacking them. And then finally, there is the counter tank, which is usually a combination of counterattack and cover, where they will punish enemies for attacking.
Well, I think that cover probably best fits his concept. And I looked at both cover and provoke, less so the counterattack options. But yes, cover does sound like the sort of thing that Xalin would do.
So I would go ahead and add the cover skill. It's a very common. Most early tanks will just take cover, and that will be fine. I'm going to recommend the sprinter skill just to give you that movement to keep up with your party. Especially Valiant is going to be very speedy, and if he decides to be a hero and jump in front of everyone, it may be difficult for you to catch up otherwise.
Right.
Not that Valiant would do that, right? Valiant would never charge into the middle of danger. Beyond that, two good, solid kind of tanking skills that you can look at are Iron Defense and Resistance, which will boost your defense and your resistance, making you take less damage on hits. Your resistance in particular is not very weak, but weaker, since you are much more of a physical tank. The upside to you being a physical tank, though, is that you have a lot of health. So even though you might take additional damage from magic, just because your health pool is so high, you can still help you weather that.
Another skill that I was considering was Bravado, which would give me an extra Valor at the start of the scene.
Bravado is an excellent skill, and that definitely seems like something that would fit him if he is combat experienced and he's kind of used to that. Even if he's not, happy to be here, he at least knows what he's doing and how to do that.
He has a sense of urgency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also kind of thought, since to block with your guts with Resolve, you do need Valor. I thought that might be useful.
Yeah, that is definitely a good thought as well. So I'm looking at it. It looks like we have used up all of your skill points. So if you're good with that, we can move on to techniques for you as well.
All right. Let's see. Techniques. Okay, so thoughts that I had were a weaken, maybe, to make them even less likely to hit me in the first place. poke him in the eye, maybe?
So in an impaired accuracy. That will be an expensive technique, but you
Okay.
can definitely do that at first level. So impaired accuracy is a weaken that will cost 4 SP basically. So it will require a core power of 4, which is the maximum
wow.
technique level you can have. That means that at this level, you can't give it any range or anything like that. It's just going to be a melee single target. This person is less accurate. So if that is what you want to do, go ahead and put your attribute as strength and move your core power up to 4. And then for the flaw, type in impaired accuracy.
Weaken core. Oh, there we go. Flaw. Accuracy, you said?
Impaired accuracy.
Impaired accuracy.
Pocket sand. Yeah, that certainly
Pretty
could
much.
work.
Let's see. So limits probably would want some on this one.
You could very easily just put a Valor limit of 1 on there. So you need to have, not use, just have at least 1 Valor to use this.
Right.
Which means you can still use it at the start of the battle and you won't really have any issues there.
Yeah, I think Valor limit is going to be a common one for me. Let's see, and what else? May not necessarily want it every single round, so I could do a cooldown, right?
You certainly could. Yeah, absolutely. It will last for 3 rounds. So the end of your turn, 2 turns after you use it. So it has a bit of a lasting effect. It's just if you put a cooldown on it, you can't like poke out eyes down in a line if you are in the middle of a bunch of different people.
Okay, and can we revise these techniques as we level up?
Yes, every time you level up so long as you put a single point into it, so long as you put a single point into a technique, you can completely remake it if you want.
Okay. So
boost is not applicable for cooldown, Michelle. Weakens are.
Okay. So what sort of cooldown would you suggest here?
I would just do cooldown 1. You can do cooldown 1 Valor 1, and that means it'll cost a single stamina, which is kind of nice since your build is low stamina to have those extra points. But even just a single Valor limit would be applicable.
Okay. So that makes me happy. Poke in the eye.
All right. Next up, you've got 8 TP, so you're probably looking at 2 to 3 more techniques.
All right. Another idea that I had was one of these kind of special attacks like Drain. Would that make sense since Drain extracts health from my foe? And
yeah, my question is how are you flavoring that? Is it just you hit someone and you get kind of a rush of morale that sort of heals you, or?
I was going to call it Heartening Strike. He kind of gets into the groove of things as he's fighting, and just kind of feeds into his whole gusto sort of feel towards him. And yeah, so when he hits, he gets excited about hurting people even more.
All right. So go ahead, and that's going to be another strength. This will be a damage technique.
Okay. Got damage core. And just put Drain.
So due to the errata, the way Drain works is either it will heal you for the most for damage equal to the highest amount of damage you dealt to any one target. So if you do multiple targets, you'll get healing for whichever target you did the most damage to.
Okay.
If you want, you can just make it a single target. So you just hit that one person and you beef out the core so you can maximize your healing. And that kind of seems like where you want this one to be anyway, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So for modifiers, you're going to want to put down Drain. And then for core power, just beef it up to whatever you want, just to see how much damage it does.
And max core is 4, and that
Correct.
increases how much stamina it costs, right?
Stamina cost for damage techniques is the core power plus, or well, the technique level, excuse me, plus 2. So if you max it out, it will cost 6 stamina.
Okay. I have a core power of 4, and it's telling me it costs 3 stamina. Is the system? No, there we go. 6 stamina.
Yeah, just click off of it so
Yeah,
it can
okay,
fully update.
okay. And let's see, any kind of limits do we want on this? Probably, because that's pretty expensive in terms of stamina.
Yeah, because your current stamina total is 24. So we may want to look into tireless for you, but if
Right.
you use that, you are out of stamina after 4 turns using
Right,
only
right.
that.
It is a hard-hitting power, so I mean, I may not be using it every single round for sure.
A
I
potential you can look into is giving it a bit of an injury limit where you can't use it until you've taken some damage.
Oh, that's a good idea. So how do I work that in? Injury?
I would put injury 1.
Okay.
And that should take the cost down to 4, but you can't use it until your health is 168 or below.
Okay, okay. And let's see, cooldown maybe?
Potentially. I don't know how many more damage techniques you intend to build. But
Right.
cooldown
I
could
was
potentially
thinking-
mitigate it.
I was thinking just a small jab or AoE or something like that would be kind of the go-to.
Mm-hmm.
So-
All right. So yeah, cooldown should work if you've got this one you can't even use at the beginning anyway.
Right.
So having an extra cooldown on it might not be a bad idea.
Let's see, 1 brings me down to 2 stamina. Okay. That ain't so bad.
And you said you were looking at an AoE kind of like a whirlwind strike, perhaps?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So let's go ahead and add another technique. This is going to be another damage core and strength. And then under modifiers, you're going to want to put whirlwind.
Okay, so targets all enemies in zone of control, costs 4 stamina. That's a lot of stamina. I might want a Valor 1, maybe?
Potentially, you might in this case also want to look at another damage technique just to make sure that you've got something that you can always use.
Mm-hmm.
Valor 1, it's if you play it right, it shouldn't come up unless you choose to act in a very dishonorable fashion sometime down the line. But you do have 2 tech points left. So if you did want to make like a knockback, you could do that, and you could maybe put like a cooldown or something on that just to make sure that you've got enough techniques to cycle.
Right, right. So for this one, what do you think? Because again, I think stamina is going to be my biggest issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if you put Valor 1 on this and then you make a knockback ability that has like a cooldown 1, I think that would be pretty good for having some low cost, low impact techniques that you can kind of cycle through and use without making it so that you can't really act in any given turn.
Right. All right, so 1 more technique, you said?
Yep. And then my recommendation here is a knockback. Since you are a strength-based character, you get additional bonus to your reposition techniques. And it's also just a good way to kind of have a bit of crowd control too. If someone's a bit too close to your squishier members, you can, blast them out of there.
I'm going to have to name this area for now. So
yeah, and you can work on the names kind of as we go.
Right.
The boop of justice.
It might be what comes to mind when I first yell it. So
Yep, that's absolutely valid. Is whatever you scream when you use a technique is what its ultimate name becomes. So for your final technique, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend that you do again damage core, again strength, and then for modifiers put in reposition 1, and under limits put push.
Okay, so do you think this would be my go-to every day technique, every round technique? Because that's one thing that I'm worried about, is having enough stamina to keep going.
I think with the amount of limits you put on, this is a good bread and butter technique for you. The
Okay.
push limit, all it does is it means that you need to move someone further away when you hit them. So every space they move, they need to go further away from you. It costs 3. Your other techniques cost 2, 2, and 1. So honestly, you're in very good shape stamina wise.
Okay.
As you level up, you know, those costs will get higher, but your stamina will increase as well. So, you know, but for now, as a level 1 character, I think you've got a very sustainable build. You've got a lot of good bread and butter techniques that you can kind of throw out. I honestly, in some respects, I might be worried that you over limited things a bit, but
Okay.
I think for now this should work. So I would say you are good to go if you like everything that you've got down here.
I do. I like it. I'm ready to go.
All right. Which means next up is Jenna.
Okay, so I took the time to fill out a little bit right now. So I did have a couple questions though, but we can kind of go through.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and have Rue bring up the attributes just so everyone can kind of take a look at what you're doing as you ask questions.
Yeah, so I've got my base stats up. Focusing on mind and guts, with mind being my primary attack stat. I'm still trying to figure out if I want to focus more on agility or if I want to potentially split that between strength, since I think sitting at 6 agility doesn't really do me any favors right now.
Were you going balanced fighter?
Potentially. I am open to moving points around.
If you're going balanced fighter, this distribution works great. If you are not going balanced fighter, I would boost your guts up to a full 8 and then kind of spread everything else around. The agility 6 is actually helping you because you've got it at move. It gets you up to move 4, and it will continue to increase. So you will have move 5, I believe, by the end. Yeah, you will have move 5 by the end of the adventure. So
Okay. Well, I know that there's a specific skill that I'm looking at where boosting my guts will help, but I'm not buying that at first level. So I think maybe for the time being, I'm going to stick to the 866 with the potential to boost up my guts if I do end up going that route.
Yeah, and you can if you choose to finagle your stats a bit as you level, you can always buy out balanced fighter. But I think the 866 is honestly a good approach for this.
Although, do I actually no? Let's.
Because yeah, if you're an agility character, if you're agility mind balanced, you're able to do kind of the caster and physical fighter. Because if memory serves, you are kind of a backline engineer, so that would let you use ballistic armaments as well as more energy or magical armaments.
Yeah, I don't have balanced fighter though, which is the potential why I'm like, I don't know. But
you can always take balanced fighter. It's only 8 skill points. We are gonna put it on Valiant, but I think Valiant will probably end up buying that a bit later. Since
I know, but like my list, I have a lot going on, so.
Well, I leave that up to you if you can spare the 8 skill points or not.
Not really, honestly. So I think with this, we'll do that. Take this down. Yeah, that'll do.
Ah, okay. So just full on agility in mind and less guts. Honestly, that's fine though, because you're not a frontline fighter. So I mean,
No. I mean, thematically, personality-wise, guts makes sense, but I mean,
you might honestly consider just dumping strength entirely, because you don't need it. Guts is going to be objectively better for you anyway.
point. Yeah, let's do it.
886 build. That's always
Yes.
fun. So you could, yeah, you could tertiary some of those skills if you really wanted to.
Nah, it's fine.
The gut skills specifically, I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hop over to your skills and flaws. We can kind of show what you've been putting together. So I see you are not proficient in negotiation.
No, she's kind of a jerk. Just full disclosure.
So she's an engineer, is what you're telling me.
Yes, I am an engineer's daughter, thus.
All right. And I see also that you have weak aura, which means that you are susceptible to magic attacks.
Yeah, typically I'm playing her as kind of the normie, as it were. So it makes the most sense to me.
All right. So looking over your skills here, it looks like you've got 3 skill points floating.
Yes, and that was because I have a question.
Yes.
So because I am going to be doing a lot with attack nodes, I am actually curious how they synergize with interrupt attack.
You can use interrupt attack off of it. It's just that interrupt attack first requires the counter attack skill.
Got it. Okay. That answers my question. Okay, I think in that case, I was looking at size up, actually.
Size up definitely works for a mine build, especially because the other mine build is going to be spoken for on skill points for a while with all of the things that he's got going on. So
all right. So let's do that.
And I mean, fitting that the engineer would have the scan skill, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I did not do a thing in techniques yet.
All right. Well, let's talk those techniques then. I feel like you probably want some kind of a laser. That seems in
logically, yes.
What kind of gadgets and stuff do you envision her having?
Typically, I envision her having little miniature robots for her attack nodes. And a lot of her ranged attacks are going to spawn off of those for the time being. That will likely change as she levels up, but generally what I'm thinking is I do want to have a ranged attack. I think I'm just going to do a regular ranged line if we're doing a laser from an attack node. Probably just little miniature cute artillery turrets. So for that, I would be doing damage core, and I'll be focusing on mind for this. So, and I apologize, my cat is very, very loud. I'm not doing a companion build, and she is super sad about it.
AKA the build that Jenna always goes to.
Yeah,
and almost
pretty much.
went this time.
Listen, if you're going to enable me to do a companion build, first of all, you're rude. Second of all, I might end up doing it. We'll see. But I think for this, I'm going to do, a range attack. I think I'm just going to do level 1 for the modifier. And then I will do a line 1. So it hits from a range, but it also hits in a line because laser.
Yeah, that's extremely valid.
Okay, and let's see here. can I boost this up to, no, I think I still have to keep it down to that. I will.
Your max tech level's 4, so if you want, you can give it a bit more damage, but you could also save that until the end and see if you want to allocate those.
And then for my second, I was actually looking at potentially doing a weekend.
Okay.
Because that's also a trademark for me. I always have that in my build. I am a creature of habit. So I'm trying to decide with this one because it's another one that I kind of want to have spawning from my attack node, but I don't necessarily know that it needs to have a range around it. Basically what I see happening, and this is something that I want to build upon too later on when I do use, if I do go with interrupt attack or if I go with counter, is maybe having it be kind of a AoE around the attack turret.
Okay, so yeah, a blast 1.
Yep. So, and honestly, I think that's really all it needs to have on there, just so that I have enough points to be able to add, too many, add some flaws to it.
Well, what flaws are you looking at?
I would like to, my go-to is typically to shred defenses. So let's see, we have 2 physical attackers in this party thus far, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Zack,
technically 3, because you've got max agility, so you can also physical attack.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that then, which I'm trying to remember what the name of the...
Weak defender, I believe it is.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Looking at this, do you envision this as being a more energy thing, or is this just like some kind of metallic shredder thing? Because you could make this an agility technique.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Just
and
making
then give it whirlwind.
Ooh, yes. Yes, I like that.
Where it just it turns into a defense blender or something.
Just a giant saw. And then for my third, I'm going back and forth on this one because ideally nothing's going to get to the back line, so I wouldn't really need to worry about a close range. But
Just
I mean, she's got all of those tools.
Your tank has Berserker. So
right. Let's get some heal. let's get some healing. Okay, and this will also be mined. This one's probably also want to be at range too, because I want to be nowhere near that tank at any point in time. So I'm gonna put a range 1. Oh, are there any other? I'm still on the skills page, so I have to flip through my PDF here. And I went too far. I think. Yes, I did. Let's see. Just refreshing my memory here. It slices, it dices, it makes Julian everything. Yes. Also, common theme, that makes me hungry. I'm always hungry. I am a hobbit, so. Let's see here. Don't need that, don't need that. Also, I apologize, my cat is still being loud.
And that was all you were going to do for that healing, just a basic healing with a bit of range?
I'm trying to figure out if I want to have it be multi-target.
That's not a bad idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow.
In that case, I might do multiple target 1, just so that I
Yeah.
can hit 2 people with it.
Mm-hmm. Because that leaves you with 3 more tech points, so you can get 1 more damage technique in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I have not thought about at all.
Did you want to have just a like ballistic gunfire, since you do have the full agility, so you can do a physical attack as well?
Yeah, honestly. Okay.
Like you could just do a pretty simple damage range 2. Or you could do a damage range 1 multiple target 1, since you are a node build as well. So you can shoot 3 people with a gun.
I like that.
That one might be a good candidate for an ammo limit as well.
Mm-hmm. I'll just put an ammo 1 on it for now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what's the stamina? Yeah, because it only costs 2 stamina then, so that should be fine. Healing. What is my stamina right now? Not great. Okay.
She says of a 40 stamina, which is, I will remind you, 16 higher than what Xalin, I think, is the pronunciation. I'm gonna struggle with that.
Listen, I'm a caster player. Like 40 stamina makes me nervous. But I'm almost wondering if this, although if we are in a situation where our tank is going ballistic, I feel like a cooldown limit probably isn't a good idea. Just because I might need to chain heal.
You can always just Valor 1, since you're not liable to be healing on the first turn of combat, so.
Totally fair. And then let's see here. Trying to remember if there is a limit that states that a technique has to come from an attack node. I know there's a companion
Not
version.
currently, but that is in tools, so just put in custom limit too.
Okay, cool.
And then in the description, right, attack node only. You'll get to crack open our incoming content for a bit. Although I don't think that one's actually been placed in the tools of the trade version that is on our itch page at the moment. But it'll be in there when I do a update push, which will probably come in a few months. But
I'm going to place that on both the range line laser and on the weekend technique.
All right. Yep, that is absolutely valid. Which means I believe you're done, aren't you?
Yep.
Cool. Which means next up, last but certainly not least, is the Bat Clown Lyric Lazulite.
Yeah, very all right. Let's go ahead and build Lyric. So I'm gonna need to pick your brain, Austin, because I was thinking something close to this.
Let's take a look here.
For my attributes, strength 1, agility 6, spirit 6, mind 4, guts 8, because I want to pick up the resolute strike skill, which I really, really like. I like the idea that she may not like invest so much into like the attributes to say like up her damage, but more so like has the techniques and attacks more with the force of personality rather than the strength of like her natural dexterity or like the aura from her spirit or such.
Yeah, that's absolutely doable. It's gonna be finickier than if you just did a balanced fighter build. But it's certainly doable. I would definitely recommend Bravado as well.
Yeah, I don't want
or just do balanced fighter, and that will make you more consistent across the board.
It would, and it would help a lot with the sense of like upping the active attributes, which I know can help in like challenge scenes. But I like the idea that she's just not necessarily skilled in everything, but more so of like when in doubt, do what feels natural and borrow on that peak charisma and love of making people laugh. Plus, I get the extra skill points as I
absolutely, do
know
it.
Balanced Fighter takes more, and I have a lot of things planned with skills down the line. I can need every piece I could get. For the flaws, we're first going to start off with a malevolent entity, which
Ooh.
I won't get into details how this malevolent entity came to be, because I want to bring that up when we're actually in role play and in like the first few sessions. But I will say this: Lyric is not aware this malevolent entity exists, and you probably do not want to bring up that it exists. Should you not wish to experience what it might bring up. I also wanted to pick up Oblivious because I think they're just too damn trusting and not necessarily so book smart, that very knowledgeable mind-based attacks that could really do detriment to one's like mental capacity. I think they are very susceptible to.
The excitement with which Malevolent Entity has been met with in chat is making me think I need to look into eventually getting a Malevolent Entity chat icon.
Yes.
For my skills, like I said, Balance Fighter is expensive, and thematically, I don't want Lyric to just be better at all of those attributes. I want them to just be good at resolve specifically. So, plus it gives me more skill points. So that was my argument on Resolute Strike. I think it's better both mechanically and thematically. So,
all right, yeah, that's fine. And that does mean that you can occasionally make even a strength or a mind technique if you really wanted to, despite not having a lot of damage capability out of it. Like if you wanted to just make a technique where you knock someone across the map, you could do you could do some kind of a strength thing.
That's what I like too, because it's more so of like I could borrow on like the strengths of like perks, like reposition benefits from strength. I don't need the damage. I just want reposition to have more push and such. So that was also the argument of like, as long as it hits, doesn't need damage.
So we've got the tank with Berserker and the support with Malevolent Entity. These are good ideas.
I wanted to pick up Versatile Fighter because there are a lot of different cores I want Lyric to specialize in. I'll need all the technique points I could get, and I think they just like coming up with new little treats and way to spice up a battle anyway. I was gonna also pick up, just based on who they are, both Bravado and Inspire.
The chaotic energy in this character is already phenomenal.
They never get too down on their luck, even when things are at their worst, and to never give up until the battle is over, even if it's not necessarily through a battle, recovery, because when we get into those challenge techniques and we really got to push ourselves, I want the ability to help minimize those downfalls. And then finally, a challenge technique, which I'm going to put in as a note: situation whenever an audience is watching.
All right. Just play to the crowd.
Yeah, just vibes with so much energy of the crowd. Absolutely, just like, hey, I'm gonna do a lot better as long as I have a lot of people to entertain. So yeah, I was thinking these skills, a good mix of giving myself a lot of things to do in battle, as well as hopefully not lose too much, especially since I'm not going the Balanced Fighter route. I think recovery is a good pickup since I still have to rely on the poor active attributes. So,
all right.
So when I can't use my specialty, at least I have that. So techniques first. I feel like we need a healing core. Based on guts. Technique name: the best medicine. Basically, Lyric tells a very funny joke to raise the spirits of the allies around her. Modifiers: range 1, multiple targets. One, usually either a joke that she finds funny and either another friend, maybe it'll be to like any two of like whomever's like at their worst, but hey, like I'm gonna tell the right jokes to the right people kind of deal, because everybody has their own taste of humor. So that's what I was thinking, range and multiple targets thematically. To limit this, I was gonna go with let's see, probably just, it's very hard to come up with jokes. Sometimes you're spent and you need some time to think of your new material. So ammo 1, and boost this core to core power 2, just to get a little bit of boost. That was gonna be my first one. Next technique, barrier core is what I want to do. Can guts be a barrier core, or I'll make it spirit if I can't?
I think it has to be spirit or mind. Give me 1 second here.
I couldn't remember.
Give me 1 second. I am pulling up the barrier core right now.
Actually, is this my book here? No, it's back there. Dang it. I know I had my book near me at one point. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Aura or intuition only.
Or intuition. Okay, so we're gonna use the spirit then. That's all right. I'm gonna boost the core power up to 4 as normal. I know we get 1 free modifier on it, so I'm gonna
either it has an inherent range of 5, and it's either got a single line or a single blast.
I'm gonna make it a blast core because this one is gonna be called House of Mirrors.
Oh God!
Lyric raises the ground with large reflective material to trap and disorient their enemies. If I could spell. And for what I was going to do to kind of pull back the cost of this, just a cooldown, which I believe it's only have to worry about if it's a boost. So
yeah.
I also need a damage technique, and I had a few in the works. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna use, so I'm gonna use the most chaotic one at this point. It's gonna be
good.
It's gonna be spirit based, and it's called Big Splash. Lyric dives high into the air, crashing down in a magical puddle of their creation, splashing all of those unlucky in the splash zone. This is going to be a blast 1 and a dash 2.
So they just move forward and blow up.
I think it's the most versatile because they either dive up into the air and like close the distance to blast onto some enemies around them, or dive into the air, just shoot into the ground, blast, and then like dolphin dive back up and hopefully away from the enemies to where like Valiant or whoever else might be able to.
If you're interested, eventually we can put dive on this if you want to. If you pick up the jump skill, I have some enhanced jumping abilities in the tools of the trade to simulate the Dragoon fighting style of Final Fantasy series. So we can talk more on that a bit later.
Limits. Let me see. My computer is slowing down for some reason. Hold on 1 second. I was gonna go with cooldown 1. At the very least, as well as Valor 1. So bring that down just a tad. And noticing that most everybody else, I think, has a technique based in some physical attacks, even if our stats are spread out, I think I'm going to grab a boost here. I don't have a name for this. This one's more or less minute. It's going to be based on guts because I know I can do that. I'm going to go up to 3. And since I think everybody has at least 1, except for me, but that's fine. I don't need to use this on me. Physical attacker. Oh.
I mean, you've got 6 agility, so you can make a physical attack for yourself too eventually.
Eventually I will. But this one's definitely going to be for everybody else from now on until I get that. So I'm definitely putting on the modifiers. Probably range 1 makes the most sense.
Yeah, and that's about all you can give it too. So
that's okay. What's a funny name that's gonna come up in the last 5 seconds of thought? Stretch, SCRET, stretch those leggies. There we go. With the latest in aerobic exercise tips, Lyric helps everyone get in the best shape of their life. Definitely to everybody's benefit. That's the limits. Okay, so I can't do cooldown. I think then I'll definitely put another Valor on there. Can I put ammo on a boost core?
I believe that one is also excluded.
It is?
I remember we were initially intending to make it so that an ammo limit would drop it down to 1 use only just by taking a single level of it, but ultimately we decided to exclude it from boost just because it got too confusing. So ammunition is not valid for boost.
Okie dokie. Oh, you know what's funny? This is funny to me, so I'm gonna do it. You know what? Lyric's got to think about how it is, and stretching's hard. You feel really bad, so health 2 limits. Nah, health. How much? Health 1 would be a reduction of that, and would cost 4. I could live with that. Takes a little health. It's like, pulled my back. So I'm gonna put a health limit on there. I think that's really funny.
So you're going to lead everyone in stretches while also injuring yourself.
Look, you hide it with a smile. Even if it hurts me and I'm not the most in shape, everyone else is gonna get in damn shape. Damn it.
Lead by wonderful example how to hurt yourself, but possibly do extra damage. All right, I believe that is it for us. It looks like we have our party. So we've got a solid physical damage dealer, a tank with Berserker, a techie backline, some damage, some support, and a bundle of chaos. So this will be fun. So we will go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. We appreciate your support as always. I will say we have also added some Orven icons for those who want to help support this and all other streams by subscribing here on Twitch. So definitely keep in mind, they are very cute. And otherwise, we will be back here every other Saturday at 2 p.m. So our next session will be the 13th at 2 Pacific time, and we'll probably run until about 5, so about twice the length of what this session was. Once again, you can find all of these wonderful people on their respective websites. Go ahead and check everyone out. They do a lot of really cool things. You can always find me over on Twitter at Valor Austin, or you can check us out at valorisgames.com. This is again the Valor heroic roleplay system, and this will be Best in Class, which is our first adventure path. And this is, I will confirm, this is the same setting that the Wind Riders campaign takes place in. So if you haven't checked out that campaign, you should definitely do that. Zack was the GM for that. It was also very good. And who knows, maybe someday we'll arrange some sort of a crossover event with everybody. So lots of fun things coming ahead. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back on the, I just said that, the 13th, I think it was. Yes, we will be back again on 13th with episode 1. We hope to see you then. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.